Alrighty, we are back and we're still in Bali, Indonesia here. It's Monday, early February, and what this video is going to be about is the books that have really impacted my life. And this video is going to all be about Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins. So this book, again, has been completely priceless in my journey. You may have watched the video Transfer from Reality in 78 Days. That was the other one that's been really instrumental. And this one here actually is more recent. So when I just came out to Bali, I've been here for about a month and a half, 2 months now. This is one of the books that I started reading before I left Canada once again for the second time. So yeah, a little bit about my story. So, you know, I've been on and off entrepreneur the first, probably decade of my life or so. Self-employed the first 7 years of my career. Had a lot of struggles with mental health. Decided to get into jobs actually for the first time. I got my first job I think when I was like 25, and got into some jobs hoping that it would bring me more stability, that I could really work on my mental health and just learn more about myself in kind of a more stable environment. And funny enough, in 4 years I've completely outperformed, and every job I've had, even had remarks from my bosses that I was the best employee they've ever had. And I was let go or laid off or something happened 3 times in 4 years. And what I've really taken from that is life just pushed me back into the thing I'm meant to be doing, which is ultimately entrepreneurship in a more authentic way. So I've done really well in e-commerce as a media buyer and marketer the last 4 or 5 years. Been in digital marketing now for about 9 years. And it was when very recently actually reading this book that I'm being this kind of logical person. For a lot of my life, I had these financial goals that, once I hit these financial goals, I will focus on the other areas of my life once I have my finances in line. And now I realize that really couldn't be further from the truth. So 6 months ago, before I moved abroad, I had pretty much summited the mountain financially and gotten, all the material things that I'd ever wanted. So I was in my dream penthouse apartment in Vancouver, BC, looking over a beautiful skyline. I had my dream truck, my Tacoma TRD Pro, my dream custom-built mountain bike. I was mountain biking in the North Vancouver mountains almost every day, working maybe 4 hours a day on a laptop. And ultimately, after a couple years of that, I was just getting stagnant again. And I was just thinking, like, is this it? Like, is this what life is? Is this what I'm going to be doing? And I realized, that was the second time that I'd kind of summited this mountain of where I thought I wanted to go to. And then upon getting to that mountain, I realized it was over there that I really wanted to go. And so, things changed again, which ultimately, gave me the kind of push to move abroad 6 months ago. That's even been a crazy whirlwind of a story. And now the last month and a half here, I've been in Bali, found a new home out here. I'm absolutely loving it. And yeah, literally less than 2 weeks ago, I discovered my new mission of helping 1 million+ men step away from the ledge and into a life of purpose and meaning. And I really want to facilitate that journey, both because I've been working on that for myself my whole life, but also because I really feel like I can have the most impact there. And that's the biggest thing that was missing for me in e-commerce, was simply the impact. I was making clients millions of dollars every single month, and I just felt empty. And again, I thought, having a certain amount of money, these other areas of my life would start to fall into place. And it actually became the opposite, where I actually felt like kind of a slave to my income and a slave to my kind of financial means, which is ultimately not the life I want to live. So yeah, when I was originally moved abroad, I started in Mexico. That was really tough because I got sick and had Wi-Fi issues and all these things. So then I moved back home for about a month or 2. And because when I moved abroad, I'd given away like 99% of my belongings, I ended up moving into my childhood bedroom in my mom's place for about a month or 2. And I really just fell into a deep depression, just thinking that, I'd made the wrong decision, moving abroad and kind of really changing up my life. And upon getting this book, one of the key things that immediately shifted my energy, and I think this is almost in the first chapter, it's really understanding what is in your control and what is out of your control. And a lot of depression stems from thinking everything is out of your control. So for me, I pretty much dealt with chronic depression my whole life, and it's something I'll probably have to continue to manage for the rest of my life. And understanding that, kind of having this new vision of really, how I can provide impact and have impact on others, is realizing, just sharing my story and helping people with the same, tools that I'm using and integrating in my life to create change. I can help for others. So key piece in this book was that. So what is in your control and what is out of your control, and realizing that there's a lot of things in your control. So especially for men, I think taking charge of our body is such a key thing. So working out, getting in the gym, understanding your diet a little bit more and eating well is just so key, because it's so tangible. Once you start creating a change in your physical body, it's really easy to start creating a change in your mental and ultimately your spiritual. And those other things can follow. But when you start throwing your health away for income and start throwing your health away for other things, it can be really tough to get it back later in life. As you can see, we're in Bali and I'm sweating because it's probably about 30 degrees and the sun is on my back right now, so this is good. But yeah, that was the biggest one. So when I came to Bali, I was really getting into realizing, what are the things that are in my control. And when I was in White Rock and kind of really feeling lost there, I had gained 20 pounds in under 2 months. I was smoking weed every day and I was just really numbing myself. And I started to realize, what I was numbing, and that was just my purpose. I was chasing the wrong thing, and I was kind of caught up in this Western way of living and, chasing income and chasing the wrong things ultimately. And as soon as I came to Bali, I was working out every day. I was in the cold plunge in the sauna every day, and really just started to work on my body again and just get my eating in line. I wasn't smoking any weed, which was really, really good. And I was meditating and just journaling every single day. And that was a really, really key piece. So that was one of the first things that this book really did for me. And then the most recent thing, which is only a week and a half ago, was when I originally came to Bali, when I originally moved abroad. My whole goal was to build a e-commerce agency, and then eventually with my in-house team launch my own e-commerce brands, and then sell 9-figure e-commerce brand in the next decade, build my generational wealth, start my family, and that's kind of how I envision my life going. I'm kind of a rigid person and I'm very logical. So because I had such a successful track record in e-commerce, I was like, okay, let me double down on this thing. Let me really take it to the extreme. Let me, totally solve my financial, kind of future for myself and my family. And then let me figure out everything else after. And it was like pulling teeth. Like every time I love the marketing side of it. I really love the creative work of e-commerce and marketing and media buying. But the actual sales process and really building an agency, anytime I had to really grow the agency, I just wasn't taking the shot and I wasn't doing the work, and it was like pulling teeth. And I was wondering why that was. And ultimately it was just because it was the wrong thing. And what I thought was, logically that, okay, this is the closest thing or the easiest way to solve my problems, and then in 5 to 7 years I'll deal with my new problems. And one of the chapters here is all about the questions. So the questions we ask ourselves, and the answers we get from those questions. And it's really shifted my mindset when I heard about that, because the question I was really asking myself was, how can I make the most money? And ultimately what I was realizing was that was the worst question I could be asking, because that was at the expense of all these other things, and realizing to myself that I'm a really passion-driven person. Making the most money is just not something that fires me up at all. And even if I could do it, it's just not something that's sustainable for me, and it's a means to an end. So I asked myself this new question of what would my life look like completely outside of e-commerce. And within 48 hours, I had this vision of, this men's mental health brand, something that I've pretty much worked on my whole life and will be managing the rest of my life. And my vision statement was helping 1 million plus men step away from the ledge and into a life of purpose and meaning. And, without asking that question, I wouldn't have landed on that new vision and mission statement. And as soon as I did that, and as soon as I asked myself that question, everything has started to fall into place in my life in the last week and a half. And now I'm creating these videos and going to start posting on YouTube more consistently for the final time. And ultimately, I just feel like I found myself again. I found my authenticity. I found my mission. You know, I'm more fired up for life than I have been in a very, very long time. I'm absolutely loving living out here in Bali, and I'm just excited. You know, I'm just excited about the impact I can have, the new mission, and you know, ultimately the journey that I can share with others. So, yeah, you know, if you're someone that's, you know, dealing with or has dealt with depression, if you're feeling stagnant, kind of any area of your life, you know. All right, guys, so the video died off there due to high temperature, but I just want to come on here and wrap up the Tony Robbins Awaken the Giant Within book review video here. So yeah, I mean, if you're anyone who's struggling with, you know, complacency, you know, you're feeling stagnant in your life, maybe you're feeling lost, you're feeling depressed, you're just feeling outside of yourself. I think the biggest, you know, the reason, the state I was in, why this book had such a profound impact on my life, was because, you know, the depressed state I was in was a precursor, because I was feeling internally like everything was out of my control, when that actually wasn't true. And that's, again, really what depression is it's just thinking that, you know, nothing you can do can solve your problem, can solve your state. When in reality, you know, there's so much that really is in our control. And the thing about this book and you know, the biggest thing it gave me, was it gave me my power back. It gave me my power back to, you know, realize what was in my control and actually start, you know, pursuing that, focusing on it, cultivating it, and ultimately just taking action. Because when you realize what is in your control, you know, then you know what you can do. But when you just are sitting on the sidelines and you're just feeling, you know, really lost and down and depressed and all these things, you know, it's really, really hard to just get back to zero, just get back to home base. So yeah, you know, if you're anyone who's just, you know, looking for more, whether it be, you know, you're kind of, you know, living this mediocre life, but you know there's a great life that you could be living, or maybe, you know, you're successful on paper, but you're really feeling disconnected from, you know, your true purpose inside. You know, again, I think it's just you know, such a powerful book, no matter, you know, where and where you are in your life, just because of, you know, again, what this whole video was about. So yeah, that is my call to action today. Go get this book if any of this resonated with you, and drop a comment below kind of what your takeaway was, and feel free to subscribe, and stay tuned for the next one. Thanks so much.